What's happening? Benton here. Am I here? Fuck. Benton here. Am I here? Hello, 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 hello. I believe I am. Audio blog. Escaping Houston. Figured I. Oh my goodness. There's a bozo out here causing all kind of problems with the traffic. What's he doing? Maybe he's experiencing mechanical difficulties. Hard to say. But yes, headed to Virginia right now. Leaving Houston on I-10. Still in Houston, I believe. Had an interesting pickup this morning. Virtually everyone who worked at this facility that I encountered, at least, was appeared to be from China, and mostly did not speak English. Although the fella at the shipping office that helped me out seemed to have some English, right? And it was a real tight quarters backing into the dock and such. A lot of day cabs in and out of there with barely enough room to back their trailers into the docks. I'm, with the larger sleeper cab. Slowing down now, leaving Houston 46 miles an hour behind a damn rock truck. Huh. See if I can get around these bozos. Oh, the rock! There goes the rocks hitting me up there. Gotta love that. And a big slowdown. So we're not going to make it around the rock trucks. Now we're in the completely wrong lane. Bummer. Well, I had to give it a shot. Oh, well. Better than a cracked windshield. Oh, so when I left the dock, I had my paperwork and my seal. This is kind of funny. I had barely enough room to get out of there, and it's so tight, I wasn't able to close the doors and seal the trailer. So as I'm trying to pull out of the dock, the day cab next to me, the mirror was so close to the side of my trailer that I wasn't able to fully pull away from the dock because my open door was going to hit this guy's mirror. Fortunately, by then there was enough space to close the doors. And I guess somewhere in all of that, I managed to stick the seal, the little plastic seal, in my back pocket, and then close the doors. And some considerate truckers allowed me to pull out into traffic. It was quite the ordeal because the service road, the access road, basically the facility, it dumped out directly onto the access road, multiple lanes, some of which are coming off of the toll road. And I need to go across all lanes in order to make a left turn. Right. They let me out immediately, which that was kind of tough because of the angle I was leaving. It's quite a tight turn. But then I got down the road a little ways and realized that I failed to seal the trailer. And so I was able to stop on the access road and jump out, and did not have the seal. It wasn't in the back of the trailer. I'm checking all my pockets. No seal. So now I'm like, fuck, I might have dropped it on the ground. at the dock, go all the way back, which was only, maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minute drive total. So like 5 more minutes back to where I came from, pulled into the facility, start looking around on the ground, no seal. And I almost never use my actual back pockets. I stuck the fucking thing in my back pocket. So I had it all along. Kind of funny. And then had to sort of bully my way out into traffic. Houston, man, they're not bad drivers necessarily, but they're a bit erratic. And if anybody remembers, we had a wreck on stream. I didn't have a wreck. Some folks crashed just off the the rear corner of the trailer, the passenger side, curbside. Some people crashed when I was coming into Houston. But I was noticing as I intentionally drove through city driving, I think it took about 10 more minutes than it would have been on the toll roads and the interstate. And just watching people drive. And remember, half of them would want me to have a minor accident with them, and especially in a place like Houston, so they can get a injury settlement. So it's like vacillating between racing, and with an empty trailer going as fast as possible in city driving, and then watching everybody in my mirror and then slowing down, so they would go around me, and then watching them shoot past me and then, kind of change lanes in front of me, slowing down, making turns, like, hoping I might hit them, right? It's funny. It's a funny phenomenon. What's up, Christos? What's happening? Truth or Cop in the house. This morning stream, I feel like went pretty well. If anybody's into that on a replay, I felt like it went pretty well. Dropped some knowledge, arguably. And I'm just trying to get out of town here. That's all I'm trying to do. Let me get out of town, Jack. There's the Buc-ee's, by the way. Baytown, Texas Buc-ee's. Oh, if Christos is here still, I ordered me some mushrooms, brother. We got some lion's mane, liquid, extract. I went for the cheapest brand that I know to be decent quality, which is at Carlisle/Horbach. That's all the same company. And I think Eli Lilly owns all that, which is sort of a notorious pharmaceutical company and chemical maker, right? I got to get out of this group. Now, see, I'm fucked. I'm all got in some big group of traffic. And that's slow my roll here. Got some lion's mane on the way to an Amazon locker. It's supposed to be delivered tomorrow up ahead in Virginia. And what else did we get? Some turkey tail extract, same brand. I think it's the Carlisle brand in the dropper bottle. 30 servings for like $9, something like that, $9-10. Then I got the Cordyceps militaris, right? Not the CS4 or whatever, which is usually mycelium. This is the fruiting body powdered extract. It's like $29 for 4 ounces. With my, getting fatigued in the afternoon, I'm thinking that might help me out. Maybe I can take that every day around noon if I remember. If I need to drive a little longer. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Oh, and some reishi, which I just do the Carlisle brand or the Horbach brand capsules. I found their cheap capsules to be pretty potent in my experience, and I don't want to pay more if I can pay less. So I think all of that was like $56. Not too bad, man. Not too bad. And I'm all stocked up on my ginseng. I got 100 pack of the tea, the little tea pellets. Yeah, we're slowing our roll, man. The traffic's getting a little hairy here. If they hadn't turned my truck down, hell, I'd probably be in the hammer lane passing everybody. Now I'm going 55 and a 65. Slow rolling. Easy day, though. I don't think we're going to drive more than about 300 miles total. And then we're going to do a 70-hour a 34-hour restart to get a new 70. So by the time we get to Virginia, it'll be a 10-hour break and then the 24 hours. 24 hours off. The royal we, of course. So I live in a truck, so that'll just be hanging out at a truck stop mostly, getting some good sleep, most likely. So probably drive about 500 miles tomorrow and 500 the day after, early in the morning. So I reckon we'll be rolling out about between midnight and 1, 2 at the latest. Probably roll out about between 1 and 2 a.m. in the morning, somewhere in there. Take advantage of that nighttime driving. And good thing I got to the pickup early, because if I'd gotten there at the appointment time, it would have been much more difficult to back into the dock, if not impossible entirely. So that worked out. But another 30, 40 miles, I should be out of all this Houston traffic. That's what I'm looking forward to. Get me out of here. And this little car in front of me holding me back. Of course, as soon as I pull out the pass, they're going to speed up. That happens there pretty much every time. That's just the way that goes. See if they're going to let us pass them. We made it. Now we're speeding, but we made it. Got to talk to another driver with this company. Actually, the first driver I've talked to. We both delivered at the same time in the same place in Houston, and he's actually from Little Rock, Arkansas, which is funny. I guess he could tell from how I was talking that I might be from the area. Yeah, he was like, "Where are you from?" I said, "Arkansas." He said, "Where?" I said, "Pine Bluff." He said, "Oh shit, I'm from Little Rock," which is kind of sort of the same thing in a way. Culturally, very similar. Very similar. He lives in Texas. He said it's funny. He said he's been driving, I guess, since about 2019. I think he said, and he said his brother and his dad. And his dad's probably around my age, I'm guessing, because he was 31. This black fella, of course. If he was a white guy from Little Rock, 31 years old, probably wouldn't be able to pass a background check or a drug test, right? I mean, let's call it what it is. All right, bitch, I'm going to slow down. They're already telling me to slow down. And I got some inside information about getting my truck turned down, because I said, "Hey, man, how fast does your truck go?" And he said, 75. I said, "Man, mine used to. They turned me down to 68. He was asking me a bunch of questions about that, and then who did it and all this, and under what circumstances. And then he told me that they had told him they were they would let them use 1 hour of personal conveyance in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. So they were driving up to 13 hours a day. He said some of his paychecks were like $3,000 because he was getting so many miles. I was like, yeah, man, I'm not really into all that. So probably makes sense that they're starting to hire folks like me, known to do things a little more by the book at times, right? But it's interesting, that I guess he was saying he more or less, I guess some of his family members, had seen him do well in trucking. And then I also told him something that I don't ever hardly hear because, he mentioned that, talking about some of the changes with this company, but then mentioned how he doesn't like big companies. And I said, man, I don't like them either, but because he brought up mom and pops, because this company, I guess, was a mom and pop, and maybe they're going to try to see, what the next growth phase is. But historically, that's been the conventional wisdom that it's better at the mom and pops. And I said, man, I don't like the big companies either, but I said, in fact, I said, that's why I've got this goofy ass hair. I said, man, I want to be able to pass a hair follicle, in case I decide to go to the big company. Because I said, man, I'd really rather work less anyway. And I said, with all this, driver facing camera and a lot of this bullshit they're putting us through, turning my fucking truck down, by the way, I'm starting to think it might be the move to go to the big company, whoever that may be, JB Hunt, maybe, especially on a dedicated account, right? And I know I was talking to Martin Transportation. They do Walmart. They got a Walmart contract, and I'd met one of their drivers, and he was, hooked me up with the recruiter and all this. The recruiter was basically like, yeah, we'd hire you, but we want you to have at least 6 months on a, one job. Because that was when I just started with ART last year or a year ago now, I guess, more than a year ago. And what's up, Jessica? I saw your community post. I had some comments on that. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. Hang on, let's see if StreamYard. Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw your community post. If you find it anywhere buried in the 5-hour stream from this morning, it probably, I mentioned you by name, and it probably sounds a little more critical than I intended, but I'm a bit of a critic by nature, so I threw in some caveats. But if you ever hear that, hopefully you understand the spirit in which I was coming from. But it was more intended as a constructive critique, certainly, if that makes sense. That was my intention anyway. So yeah, I noticed what you posted there. I found it pretty interesting. So yeah, I got my own thoughts on pride, of course, but I'll save that for now. Good to see you, by the way. But yeah, that was interesting talking to somebody from back home. And he said basically most of his family's already left Arkansas, and he basically said he was in the process of pretty much getting everybody to move to Texas. And I said, good for you, man, because there was really no reason to go to rehash it. But he knows and I know, man, there's nothing going on in Little Rock, man. There's just nothing happening. So if people actually want to have a job and actually want to, support their families in this dystopian delusion and all of this, And of course, I didn't get into any of that with him, but I got into some of my homelessness type stuff. But there's really no reason for us to discuss the fact that there's nothing happening in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Pine Bluff, of course. But yeah, I was just basically like, I'm glad, man. I'm glad to hear it. And also my experience growing up in Arkansas with a lot of black folks is, man, a lot of those are salt of the earth, hard working, just want to raise their families, right? And like a lot of the white folks too, right? And I've been critical lately in general of people who are having babies and all of this. I hope folks realize that I'm not just completely, you know, it's, I believe I'm making a bigger point about the nature of what's happening in this, heaven or hell realm presently manifesting as a hell realm. And in this, I've been working with this idea of, a literal Moloch and, child sacrifice and all of this, as a burnt offering sacrifice. And certainly that seems to be the case, but, I'm certainly fully in support of any folk, whether, regardless of their skin color. I'm certainly in favor of all of that, right? And even this guy mentioned the tariffs, and I just laughed, tariffs, but it's pretty funny idea. But he seemed like a good dude named, I'm not even going to say his name, but seemed like a good dude, good head on his shoulders, you know. And it seems like, especially if it's somebody from back home, it's just as likely or more likely it'll end up being a black fella that's, hard working, staying out of trouble with the law, raising their family. I don't know why that is, but seems to be the case for whatever reason. But thanks, Jessica. Much appreciated. I think maybe this guy mentioned a book to me. Now I've already forgotten what it was. I'll be getting some book recommendations here and there. I don't remember what he mentioned. The psychology of something or other. But, I think most of my book reading days are over. I might rather get some sort of synopsis. I don't know. Maybe Miss Jane will. Maybe she'll record herself talking about it. Maybe I don't know. It's not like I don't need content to listen to. It's all about me, damn it. Oh, my $10 earbuds are working out quite well. So well that I thought about, well, shit, maybe I should get a spare set. And they were on sale, I guess, for $10. They've gone up to 16. So well, I guess I won't pay 16 for a backup. My skull candies, smoking buds, they call them. I really like those, but the right one, it barely makes any sound anymore. So they're not quite. The left one is full volume, but the right one has got quiet for whatever reason. Yeah, I will as soon as I pass this truck, lady. Be happy to. Oh, you did hear it. Okay, I misread your post, Jessica. It is kind of amazing how frequently I misread the posts in the chat. It seems like I got about a 50-50 shot on actually reading the comment correctly the first time. So yeah, I'm glad you heard what I had to say. Thank you. Good. Good deal. Glad to hear it. I've done this job before. We got the crew out here walking the highway picking up trash. I've done that before. I did that in Hot Springs, Arkansas through this was so long ago, it was through a tip service, and I think when I went and cashed the check with the check cashing fee at the liquor store or whatever, I think I made like $68 to go out in the fucking summer heat and pick up trash all day on the road crew or whatever, picking up trash. And the fella that was working the other side of the highway with me, my partner, and I'm not really wired for jealousy, but I got a little jealous because he found a wallet with like $40 cash in it. I was like, fuck, dude, that's, you almost doubled what we're going to make today. Or not quite, but, which I wasn't really jealous, but it was kind of like, damn, man, what the hell? Why couldn't that be me? But I was happy for him, but also sort of like, goodness gracious, when's my time? Broke as a joke. So I see these folks out here cleaning up the highway, man. I've been there, done that. One day was enough. I did not want any more. I don't know. I can't remember if they were going to bring me back or not. And what would I have bought back then? $68. Probably did buy some booze. Maybe not from the liquor store. Might have bought me a 12-pack or a 6-pack, maybe. I don't know what I would have bought. Probably just food. Maybe a little bit of weed. I don't know. I can't even think of what I would have bought. Thank you for your patience on me not being able to read the comments properly, by the way. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Well, I don't know what's going on in my back. I've stirred something up in my lower trapezius kind of shoulder blade region. What's up? It's probably for the good in the long run, but when I'm whining, it's got to be hurting pretty bad. It's more just annoying, actually, than anything else, I'd say. Looks like we're pretty well out of the traffic, by the way. So we did good, man. Made it to the pickup. Got to waited around about 2 hours. We were early anyway, and then they loaded us pretty quick. We were out of there by 10, but then had to come back because I couldn't find a seal in my back pocket, which is a reminder to not use my back pocket anymore. Because if I do happen to put something back there, I'm not going to remember it's there. But I did the right thing going right back, retracing my steps. That was definitely the right move. FedEx Custom Critical. It's probably a team. Oh, and when I was doing my laundry down in Louisiana at the TA in Lafayette, I'm headed back that way now. It's pretty decent laundry machines, by the way. They were all right. And ran into a fella in there that had just started driving a truck, but he said he used to back in his 20s, and he was like 39. So as far as truck driving is concerned, he's starting over as a new driver. And he said none of these companies would hire him. None of these big companies, right? And I don't know how he went to CDL school. I'm not exactly sure. We didn't get into that, but he finished CDL school, and he said some owner-operator with 2 trucks hired him. And former heroin junkie. And I was like, how'd you get off the heroin? He said, I went to jail. I said, all right, well, shit. And there you go. But then, we got to talking about that I'd been in LA and talking about weed and, being able to pass it. Because he was also saying that the big companies also want to do a hair follicle. Well, yeah, that's what they do. And I guess he smokes weed on the truck, because he was talking about vape pens, to not be stinking up the truck. So we got someone with experience he's probably a good driver, right? 39 years old, white boy. I guess he can pass a background check. I guess he can pass a urine screen, right? Driving around stoned on marijuana or cannabis, right? Probably alternate cannabinoids, like that THCP and all that, THCO, whatever. And then he was saying, because I was asking how fast his truck went, because usually, newer drivers have a slow truck. He said, I got a triple-digit truck, meaning it's not no governor whatsoever. And but then I said, I talked about him turning my truck down, and I was like, I know how to. I said I speed, but I know how to speed and not get tickets. He said he just got a ticket for. He told the whole story: 80 and a 65 coming down a hill. It was 70, and then so he had his cruise set at like 75, and then wasn't paying attention coming down some hill, and the cop was sitting there waiting on him in Mississippi. He talked about he'd already hired the lawyer, and that, not to reassure him, but the way that works is, especially in a place like Mississippi, you just pay the lawyer, and then they pay off whoever, and it just goes away. That's because famously the only ticket I've ever gotten in truck driving was in Mississippi because I went too fast through the scale bypass lane because I thought they were closed. Which I should have just stayed on the fucking interstate, but I went through the damn bypass lane at like 60 miles an hour. And as soon as I saw them, I started stopping, and they basically just motioned me. They were basically like, "Hey, bring your ass in here, partner." And inspected me and all of that, and wrote me a ticket. But the guy, he took mercy on me and checked not a commercial motor vehicle, and he did non-moving violation. So instead of hiring a lawyer, my experience in Arkansas told me that if I just send them the money, they're not going to put this on my record. They just want the money. And it's true, man. I never heard anything about it. Never showed up on my record. When I apply for jobs, I don't list it as a ticket. I just used my own judgment. I looked at the ticket. He said, "Well, shit." He checked the box that says non-commercial motor vehicle, and he checked the box that said not a moving violation. So I said, "Fuck it." I'm pretty sure, based on my experience, if I just send them the money, I thought about going to court just to be sure. I said, "Fuck it." Mailed him a money order. That was the last I ever heard of it. So I'm pretty sure that his lawyer's going to grease the wheels for him. Charge him $1,500 or whatever, like it never happened. Better Call Saul style. You better call Saul, partner. You better call Saul. But yeah, that makes sense, Jessica, if you're still listening. The thing about pride, and I think that's good. I think that's real good to do an assessment like that. My commentary was more about a proper framework from my perspective, how to deal with all that. If any of that's beneficial, then happy to help. And if not, take what's good and leave the rest. Right? That's what I do. That's what I do. There's a Stuckey's. I got picked up in Virginia Beach, general vicinity of Virginia Beach one time, hitchhiking. There's a channel, man. There's a fucking channel, a tunnel underneath the ocean. And I wanted to go up into Delaware, that peninsula they got. There's a little bit of Delaware is just outside of Philadelphia, and then the rest of it is a peninsula, apparently, if you look at the map. I wanted to go up on that peninsula because that was one of my famous hitchhiking trip. When I left out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, I think that would have been 2017, I believe. Early 2017, I believe. Left out of Fayetteville. That's when that local fella had been letting me live. He let me pitch a tent on a raised platform in the backyard of some, investment, some house that had burned down. He bought it as an investment with his ex-old lady. She had passed away, actually, now that I think about it. And old man, he was in his 70s. He was from Kingsland, Arkansas. That's birthplace of Johnny Cash. But Johnny Cash grew up at Dyess, which is a little unincorporated area near northeast Arkansas, not too far outside of Memphis. But yeah, Kingsland, birthplace of Johnny Cash. Little town. That's where he was from. And he pretty much told me to hit the brakes. which was it was real fucking cold. And he was basically like, "Hey man, what are you still doing here?" I said, "I told you I'm leaving after the holidays." And he's basically like, "Yeah, they're over with." I said, "Man, it's." I said, "After the holidays means after January the 1st, like so that would be January the 2nd, or earlier, right?" Imagine not being able to understand what after the holiday, November 26th. You got all them days until the new. That's the holidays, man. That's why it's called the holidays. Otherwise, we would just say Christmas. We call it the holidays because it's Christmas and then New Year. What a fucking bozo, man. So I spent like another week to 10 days camped out with my buddy, my homeless friend Alan. And during the course of me and him camping out, he got put into a city subsidized apartment, like an SRO style deal. Pretty decent, older building, but pretty decent place. And it got so fucking cold, he let me come out and stay with him a few nights. And I said, "Man, I'm out of here." I went hitchhiking and hitchhiked all through the deep south. That's actually on that trip is when I met up with my mom and her current husband for the first time. Met up with him for the first time. Met him for the first time, more correctly. That's when I tried to stay at their place, and the guy got drunk and pulled a fucking gun on me. If anybody remembers that story. And so that eventually ended up in Delaware. But yeah, in Virginia Beach area, Newport News. I think technically Newport News. And I got to looking at the map, and I was looking at the map. I was like, "Fuck, this goes underneath the ocean. It's a damn channel." So I knew I had to get a ride to the other side of the channel. I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna let me walk through the channel, right? So I took a city bus up onto the highway. This is how hitchhiking works. You want to talk about blessings? Hitchhiked so I took a city bus as close as I could to this highway, and I said, "Well, if they pick me up on this highway, then whoever's on this highway will surely be going to the other side of this channel." And I walk up onto the highway. It's dead. There's no cars in either direction. There's just nothing. And so first I'm starting to think, well, shit, this might be a no-go. First car that comes along stops and picks me up. It's a couple from Dover, Delaware. They were in Virginia for the Delaware State basketball team. They were big fans of the basketball team. And they were headed back to Dover. Drove me all the way to Dover. And on the way, the lady, it's a married couple, older than me. Not too much older, though. And I think they got sick of my yapping by the time they let me out. I think they had about enough old bit. But either way, that's okay. And the lady was a big fan of Stuckey's. I guess they don't have Stuckey's in Dover, so we stopped off. And I think I had steak and eggs, if I recall correctly. Wasn't great, but it was all right for a gas station ribeye, right? And that was, they said, "How do you want that cooked?" I said, "As rare as you will serve it." And what I received was like, "Well, in the interest of not poisoning you, you're as rare as we'll serve it. In this case, it's medium." I said, "All right, well, that's fair enough." And it was good from what I recall, anyway. And then in Dover, it turned cold, got way below freezing. It was March 1st. My plan was to actually backpack the Northeast for the first time in my homeless career. I got there too early. It got too motherfucking cold. It snowed about 6 inches on me. I managed to pitch a tarp in the woods outside the Supercenter in Dover, and my camo tarp. Got up in the morning, had to go into the. That, by the way, this was pre-fake pandemic. The Walmart was still 24 hours. Wandered into the Walmart to take a grumpy, and it took me like 30 minutes to find my fucking cam with my flashlight because I was like, "Fuck, dude!" Between the snow and the camouflage tarp, I couldn't find my fucking cam. So if anybody's ever worried about camping out in the woods, if they try to find your ass at night, they're not going to be able to find you. I wouldn't worry about it, especially if just say no to blue tarps, by the way, especially if you're not out there with a blue tarp. I wouldn't worry about it personally. I couldn't even find my own damn camp. But then I decided, okay, I'm gonna get on the Greyhound and go back to North Carolina because I'd found a pretty decent Walmart in North Carolina, and I could actually panhandle and hang out. Had a nice camp spot. Can't remember the town. Could probably find it if I looked on the map long enough. Uh, went back to North Carolina, and then for whatever reason decided to take the Greyhound all the way to Little Rock. Went to there was a protest attended. This is when I still thought that West Memphis 3 was innocent. Now I know they're guilty. They done it, but Damien Eccles, Johnny Depp. So I've laid eyes on Johnny Depp. I went to this is back when Arkansas was trying to kill like 8 prisoners in 1 week on account of the lethal injection drugs were expiring, and Europe won't sell anymore. Europe won't sell anymore since they know what it's being used for. And in fact, in Oklahoma, an Oklahoma state official got caught trying to buy black market lethal injection drugs in a Walmart parking lot. You can't make this up. And I actually had a brief back and forth with Damien Eccles. Then some fucking local news reporter tried to interview me, and I said, yeah, you can interview me, but only if you agree to use my commentary in its entirety. I don't want to be cut up on some podcast, and you're gonna. I said, if you want to play this in its entirety, sure, but I don't want to hear my voice on some fucking broadcast all cut up to make some bullshit out of context point. I'm pretty sure he stuck to his word, but I don't think it ever saw the light of day either. But y'all know I can get my point across if I need to. It's specificities, right? And so eventually I ended up a series of Greyhound trips. I famously took the Greyhound to morning all through Skid Row, somewhere to downtown, and took a city bus, I think out to either Thousand Oaks, TO, or Camarillo. I think out to TO, and then probably over to Ventura, and then over to not Oxnard, I'm sorry, to Santa Barbara. All right. And that was when I famously recently spoke about reaching the point of actual exhaustion. Right. I think sometimes my stories, I have trouble remembering what happened in what order, but I think that was the case, although maybe not. Hard to say. Hard to say. I might be misremembering, but all of that happened, just maybe not in that order. Yeah, a lot of novel experiences that Mr. Benton has participated in. Lots of novelty, certainly. Yes, ma'am. We'll keep you in our thoughts there, Miss Jane. keep you in our thoughts. I know what you mean. Something's happened to me with something about that phraseology. Pray for has always bothered me. So, but I understand the spirit of what you're communicating. So, absolutely, absolutely. It's like a crop duster plane out here. That's still a thing, believe it or not. You see spraying on these fields. Probably DDT. I don't know what they spray. Roundup, maybe. Probably Roundup. Glyphosate. There's a spot outside of Little Rock where the crop duster flies real low, parallel to the interstate. Sometimes you'll be on the interstate and look over, and there's a damn guy's almost as low as the car spraying the crop. Might want to put the event on recirculate. We don't want to be breathing in whatever that is, right? Yeah, buddy. Oh, is it 65? I guess we better speed back up then. Or is it still 55? I don't know. We're going 65. Got a load of doors, by the way. I looked up on the Google Maps, and a lot of people were disgruntled in the reviews about the quality of their doors from this company. So I know the facility was old and run down, and like I said, a bunch of Chinese nationals working in there. There's the crop duster. Here he comes. I wish y'all could see this. I don't have time to try to maneuver this. Yeah, there he's flying right at me. He's slowing down, making his turn, about to descend onto the crops. That looks like rice paddies, maybe rice fields. Yeah, that's rice. Almost certain. That'd be a fun job, I reckon. Oh man. Yeah, it's all working out for old Benton today, and I took yesterday off. I don't know if I told y'all. I got so into the preaching, I didn't really get to tell much of what happened yesterday. But here's what happened yesterday. That fella from Little Rock, the black fella, young fella, I guess, 31. He could pass for 29, so yeah, he's still a young fella. I didn't call him that, of course, but there's a Southeast Texas crawfish farm, by the way. Oh shit, they done crashed up ahead, y'all. They done crashed up ahead. That's a wreck. That's a wreck for sure. I'm gonna do what I'm always do. I'm gonna go as far left as I can, and we'll adjust from there. But usually, overall, you got better odds that the crash has happened onto the right side, unless this is some serious ass construction. One of the two. It's either some serious construction, we're going down to one lane, or this is or it's a crash. If I look on the Google Maps, it probably knows. But now we got some people moving out of the right. Now we got them moving right. So maybe I might be in the wrong lane, but this is my standard move. We'll go left first and we reassess. I'm not sure it makes a difference overall. Guess I can turn my main phone off. So yeah, so Sunday, and I was live streaming some of this, and I ended the stream, and then so I parked on the street, and the facility I was delivering to the gate was closed, and I wasn't even willing to pull onto the side road because it's always possible to have bad information. So yeah, they said deliver Sunday at 6 a.m., but it's always possible that that was some kind of error, and I don't want to get stuck having to try to back all the way out onto the main road. And so I heard after I ended the stream, I heard a truck come by, and I figured since there was two loads going to Houston, I figured that was the fella that picked up his load about the same time I did. And that was where was that? That was in Atlanta area, southeast side of Atlanta. And if y'all don't know, they don't let trucks into Atlanta. If you look at Atlanta on the map, there's that 265, I think it is, or 285, whatever it is. There's that whatever that freeway loop is around Atlanta. They don't allow trucks inside that loop unless you have to have you have to be picking up a load or delivering a load inside that loop. So I don't think I've ever been inside of it driving a truck. Yeah, this is construction. Looks like based on the signs. We're near Beaumont. Probably not going to get out of this without a bathroom break, but see how that goes. If I have to pull onto this inside shoulder, will they let me back? I do see trucks starting to get over to the right, and I don't do a CB, but enough of these truckers have CBs that's probably where we need to be, unless they're going to get off at the exit. This is such a clusterfuck. I'm not sure it's even going to matter, honestly. Fucking zipper merge is bullshit, by the way. There's no trust. The quickest way to get, if it actually goes to one lane, the quickest thing to do is just let everybody over. But as we know, human nature, people want to rush to the front. And then some states have signs that says, use all lanes and zipper merge. But it's like, yeah, nobody trusts each other once they get to the merge point. There's no trust. So everybody has to stop and watch the person to make sure that they don't hit, we're not hitting each other. So actually, the fastest way through all this bullshit is for just, as soon as we all know what lane to be in, just everybody get in that fucking lane, let everybody over. We all got to go past a certain point, right? Rushing to the front feels some type of way, but it actually just makes it take longer. And sometimes the truckers will figure it out and just intentionally block the road enough. That happens sometimes. But either way, well, this is such a long backup. I'm so far away from whatever we're merging into, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I can see the orange signs, but I'm nowhere. I'm like 3/4 of a mile away. Yeah. This ain't too much fun getting paid 55 cents a mile for this. Like, shit, I'm going to go through all of this and make what, $2, $5 or whatever, however many miles this is. Shit, I'd pay $50 and not have to deal with this, to not have to deal with this, but whatever. So Sunday, I wouldn't have known this. And see, this is where the company doesn't always realize that as a new driver, if they don't tell me some shit, I don't know some shit. But it turns out that oftentimes when my company delivers to this location in Houston, that same location, they unload the trailer and then they reload the trailer with different product. And then the driver goes like to a drop yard like 9 miles away and drops the load there and then hooks up to a loaded trailer. So that's what this guy was doing. So I didn't know anything about that. And furthermore, my company hadn't told me anything. So I just, to be sure, but only because he told me he was getting reloaded. And in fact, it might have been my fault because I didn't know what they were talking about. Now that I remember, when I first went to talk to the dock people, I think they asked me if I was getting reloaded, but I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And so I think I was just like, yeah, unload, meaning like I'm here to deliver. So maybe just something got lost in the translation. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, my company didn't tell me anything. So once I figured out, oh, maybe they did want me to reload to get loaded here, I just went and asked them once I was like, am I supposed to get loaded here? And they were like, no, man, you're good. I said, well, shit, I might take the rest of the day off anyway. And then they were kind of not happy about that, I guess, because they wanted to take the day off. I was like, well, I've already worked, by the way. Like, I started my day quite early, so it'd be a half day technically. Don't be too jealous. But then they seem like good fellas, millennials, maybe Gen Z, somewhere in there. It's hard to tell, and it seemed like good dudes. It was a hard dock to hit, but we hit it, and I kind of used that other fella as a guinea pig in a way. I'm glad he ended up going in ahead of me because then I got to see, how he set up and everything. But which is kind of funny because once he was at the dock, I had to pull up past him and just wait. And so I was asking him, hey, how the hell did you back in here? And then he was trying to tell me which way he came in as if now I didn't have the option. I said, no, man, I'm just going to back up. I said, once you leave, I'm going to back up and it's going to be just like I came in the same way you did. And he's like, oh, that's right. I said, yeah, man, shit. I said, I suck. I said, I ain't that good at backing up, man. I got to give myself every chance. And he said he agreed with me. He said, yeah, man. I said, like the first whole year of being a new driver, it was terrible. I said, yeah, man, that shit sucked. And so then as I was leaving the facility, I texted the company like, hey, I texted them while I was getting unloaded, and then I said, hey, I'm happy to take the rest of the day off, but I just wanted to see if maybe the company had something for me to do today. So just this, the spirit of willingness, right? But I would rather just take the day off. And then I guess probably the boss dispatcher uh, was like, hey, we thought you were going to get reloaded there. I said, man, it's the first I've heard of it. And I was basically like, y'all didn't tell me. And meanwhile, I guess I'll go back there if you want me to, right? Uh, but by then I'd paid for my fucking parking, right? In fact, I'd paid for my parking because they had already told me I could take the day off. But then I guess the boss dispatcher was trying to see if I was game. So, I was like, nah, man. So then he was like, yeah, we'll get you loaded by tomorrow. We'll send you your load by tonight. And I was like, yeah, man, if I'm already asleep, I'll wake up and be ready to roll in the morning. And I said, if y'all got me something, I can pick up early, that's fine. If not, whatever, man. The spirit of willingness, right? Yeah, I'm in the worst lane to be in, but we're at a dead fucking stop, so I don't guess that matters. And so I guess all lanes are the worst lane to be in right now. Nobody's going anywhere. And this could be a wreck. Sometimes they crash in the construction zone, right? So it could be both. I'm trying to make it into a crash or construction. It's like, actually could be both, sir. In which case we just continue to inch up and then eventually there's no more space to take up and we wait for the wreck to be cleared. This is all drive time off my 70, by the way. I mean, some people will go off duty. What I usually do is just sit here and then eventually if the ELD just decides that we're no longer driving, then I'm like, all right, we'll just be off duty or might even just stay on duty. But this is going against my 70s down to 25 hours. And let's see, what does the GPS say? GPS says, see, now it's asking, what do I want to do? Stay in driving, go off duty, or go on duty? I guess we'll go on duty. Be hard to justify being off duty in the middle of the motherfucking Interstate 10. Right. Although I guess technically I could be on the shoulder. But, this says 20 hours and 6 minutes, and then I got two, let's call it 20-minute, let's just say an hour for fueling and pre-trips. That's erring on the side of caution. So that leaves us 4 spare hours. Actually 4.5. No, wait a minute. 21.6. Yeah. 4 hours and 15 minutes. So however much this burns up, this could eat an hour of it. We'll see. But if I go on duty, at least I can change it later. If I get desperate, I can change this to. I can change it to off duty. But the drive, if I'm on the drive line, I can't. It won't let me edit that. Give my knees a break. Set the brakes. So I ended up paying $16 to park. I think I talked about a little bit of this morning. Then bobtailed over to Walmart, did my shopping. It's funny because the day before in Lafayette, there was a Walmart, and I got done so early for the day on Saturday. I started to bobtail down to the next exit and go to Walmart and talk myself out of it. And then the next day I got to look and I said, well, shit, I'm actually was like almost out of lemons and running out of apricots. I said, fuck. I thought it was optional. I said, really, I need to go. So it worked out good that I was able to do my shopping yesterday. Non-tent, by the way. We're now into non-tent. So feel free to hang out, but pretty much I'm just mostly amusing myself. Audio blog style, impromptu audio blog style. The natives are getting restless. Oh, we're moving again. Fantastic. Well, let's just not go faster than 5 miles an hour. Actually, 4. Let's not go. Let me go 4 and stay off. Stay on duty. No, we're already going faster than that. I guess we'll take an opportunity to maybe get in the other lane here. Maybe. Yeah, I guess they're gonna let me over. Might be able to get over another one. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know, people. I'm changing lanes. You can either get in front of me or you can let me over. It's interesting in traffic. I think some people just have no. Oh, it says right lane ends. Never mind. Some people have no concept of. I'm just now to the sign. When I finally got into the right lane, it says right lane ends. That's funny. But it's funny. Some people have no concept of like where my trailer's about to go. It's like they're beside me, but way back there, they're free to go up in front of me. I got my blinker on. I'm starting to come towards them, and it's like they're confused. It's like, what's the confusion? Speed up and go past, or drop back just enough for me to get in front of you. It's like, what is this weird? It's this weird middle ground. Hell, maybe I should have stayed in the fast lane. Huh. Yeah, I guess I will. Here come a motorcycle on the shoulder. I gave him a thumbs up. That might be a lady, actually. I believe that's a gal. Yeah, I believe that's a chick. But I gave her the thumbs up to let her know I see her. So keep on rolling. I was changing into her lane. Changing into her lane right about the time she was. Oh, and that shoulder just ended too. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. We're rolling now. I wonder, that might have been a wreck. That might have been a wreck. Although we went from 3 lanes to 2. I don't fucking guess it don't matter. Yeah, not a big fan of Houston, I have to say. Here's another Stuckey's. Yeah, not a fan overall. Not a fan. Oh, and if I talked about that, I think I have mentioned that driverless semi trucks are hauling freight round trips between Dallas and Houston uh, officially. And before it would have been the pilot program. So it's been happening for however long. And I mean, no human in the truck anywhere. No human on board. Self-driving trucks. But how long have we had to listen to people tell us why it's never going to happen, right? Well, unless, and again, yeah, fake news perhaps, but at least official fiction later it's happening. At least based on the official fiction, it's going down. So make of that what one will. But certainly old Benton's days in trucking are numbered. Since I do the lowest form of truck driving, over the road dry van, bottom of the barrel. There it is, America's largest injury law firm, Morgan and Morgan. All you got to do is get one of these semis to hit you, get you a settlement, stimulate that economy, stimulate your own economy. It's one thing about Texas, man. They're always building up these roads, while other parts of the country, many parts of the country, the roads are allowed to fall into disrepair. And this one's definitely it's a bumpy ride, but not near as bad as some areas. And they're rebuilding this whole motherfucker, piece by piece. And I do think that's part of the reason why Texas has all these access roads that parallel the interstate. When they need to, they can route when they need to rebuild the interstate, they can route the traffic onto the access roads as needed. Yeah, they're building some kind of new overpass, looks like. Always building on the roads in Texas. Makes me wonder, there's probably something that Alex Jones back in the day used to always go on and on about the NAFTA superhighway. And it was the Texas, like the Trans-Texas corridor, I think they called it. And then at a certain point, it got to be controversial. And then they said, well, we're actually not going to do the Trans-Texas corridor. But it turned out they just changed the name of it, like for real. They just started calling it something else, right? But so they said, well, no, we're not doing it. But actually, what they meant was, we're just still doing it, but we're calling it something else. Oh man, yeah, they're rebuilding this whole thing. It's like, and no median. A lot of what they're doing in Texas, they're removing the medians, which makes me think dedicated lanes in the middle, perhaps. Whether that's self-driving or trains or long ass convoys, who knows? But there ain't gonna be, now there will, looks like there'll still be a median between the access road and the interstate, but no more median. And every road I see as far as interstate, every time I see them rebuilding a road in Texas, they're never leaving the median. Same thing in Fort Worth. They've been last time I was truck driving. Actually, when I was with Balkan, they were rebuilding whichever I-30. There's two I-35s, but whichever. I guess I-35W. I guess through Fort Worth, they were just completely rebuilding the whole fucking road, both sides, in both directions. Yeah, I'm not fucking with that wall. Y'all can have that all you want. I'll go slow as I gotta go through here. I'm not snuggling up to that wall unless I have to. Oh man, I don't know why I'm yawning. I'm not tired. Must be too relaxed. That's a thing. Joe D. Messina at the Cushata Casino Resort in Kinder, Louisiana. I don't know where I was, but somewhere when I stopped in Lafayette the other day, Saturday, I saw somewhere the sign said "Best Poker Room in Louisiana." Hell, I almost stopped in there, but then I got to thinking, do I really want to, especially Texas Hold'em, do I really want to play poker? I was like, nah, I'm good. Plus, it was so early in the day. Hell, I would have had to take a nap and wait for nighttime, wake up and play poker. What up, our pole? I see you down there. Yeah, better call Saul, partner. That's right. Better call Saul, partner. Get your ass out of a jam. Set 80 and a 65. What the hell is you doing, partner? But I was probably in the 70, and then I was probably already on the fucking engine brakes, slowing my motherfucking roll. I wonder, and this guy talking about he was a heroin junkie for 5 years or whatever. The fellow I talked to at the truck stop doing my laundry. Do they let truck drivers take Suboxone or Subutex? I think probably not, but hell, who knows? Maybe. Is this a lane? As soon as I get over in this bright lane, it's going to turn out not to be a lane, but we're going for it. We're going for it. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I woke up pretty early. Surely did. Oh, here's Beaumont. Beaumont's got a little college. I can't remember what it's called, but back in the hitchhiking days, I actually ended up out in Nederland. That's another story I forgot. I'm not a good storyteller, and I got a bazillion and one stories, but I was hitchhiking and walking. Did a lot of walking out here, and in fact, in the daytime, I kept wanting to stop. In fact, I probably walked this very. I probably walked the access road. I probably walked all of this, and I'll take my shoes off and there's so many motherfucking fire ants. I had to put my shit back on and keep moving. God dang fire ants everywhere. And eventually ended up somewhere near this on this campus, met a black girl somehow. I don't remember how that happened. Just on the campus, just walking, met some black chick. Maybe I took the bus. I can't even remember. Maybe there was a bus. That's always possible. Hell, here's a Petro. I guess I got to pull in and use the bathroom. It's probably time to do all that. And crime of opportunity. There's enough construction and bullshit. There's not going to be anywhere to stop. Now, how do you get into the damn Petro is the question. Okay, never mind. Here we go. It's obvious, sir. It's obvious what to do. How in depth do I want to get with parking just to leave in 5 minutes? Not very. Not very. Man, it's funny. Some of these big ass truck stops. There's just a bobtail sitting here, and you can tell that motherfucker's been there for years. Monopoly Money Trucking LLC. And it's got the Monopoly man. No monocle, by the way, if anybody's curious. On account of, what do they call that? The Mandela. No monocle. Only been driving for 14 minutes? That don't seem right. Oh. Well, either way. Yeah, that truck's been there a long ass time. I guess this is such a big truck stop, they don't see no point in towing it. All right. One moment, please. Oh, goodness. A little stiff in the joints there. Hell, I might go for, depending on how many hours I'm going to plan on driving. I think I got about 3, maybe 4 more hours of driving today. I might have another round of chocolate. What do y'all think? I think I might. A little pep in my step. I went to the eggs so early. Second round of eggs. So that's not an option. You better believe I stocked up on eggs yesterday. Yes, I did. I got some of the great value, grade A, extra large, and they really, to me, didn't seem any bigger than the large, personally. But whatever. They look like good. They look good though. The shells all look good. So what I get? Three 18 packs of eggs. One of them was the extra large, the omega-3 eggs, where they feed the chickens. I think flaxseed oil. Put the omega-3s in the eggs. That's what they say anyway. I mean, who the hell knows? Yes, sir. 100% cocoa. And I bought 3 of those. That's all they had. 1.7 ounces, 50 grams, $4.44. Yeah, it's worth it though. "26 grams of fat, 15 grams of saturated fat, 12 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fiber, no grams of sugar." Yes, sir. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to do while I'm stopped here. I don't think so. I feel like I'm missing something. What could that be? Never mind, I guess not. But yeah, we're taking down some chocolate. Make sure I got my jug to spit in when I rinse my mouth out. Not trying to be gross. Yeah, buddy. Non-tint. Yeah, I got all the spiritual talk out of my system this morning, at least for now. So I thought it went pretty well. Oh man, broke some new ground, perhaps covered some new ground. I'll go ahead and assume old Monopoly Money Trucking's probably out of business. Oh yeah, dark chocolate, baby. Anyway, appreciate y'all. I think I've about got it all out of my system with the yapping for now, at least. So appreciate it. Probably be back in the early AM, I expect. Bye.